alongside them and let them know they can make it. What are you giving away? Have you looked around to see who needs you? I want you to listen to this story very carefully. I read about a 5th grade school teacher. Her name was Miss Thompson. She was a terrific teacher, but of course, she was human, and there were students that she just did not seem to click with. Teddy Stollard was a boy that Miss Thompson really did not care for. He was not interested in school. He had a blank expression on his face, and his eyes had a glassy, unfocused appearance. And when she spoke to Teddy, he always answered just in a monotone voice. His clothes were dirty and his hair was unkempt. He was not a very attractive boy, and he was not liked by the other students as well. She should have known better. She had seen Teddy's records and knew about him more than she cared to know. Teddy's records read in 1st grade, Teddy shows promise with his work and attitude, but he has a poor home situation. 2nd grade, Teddy could do better. Mother is seriously ill. He receives little help at home. 3rd grade, Teddy is a good boy, but too serious. He is a slow learner. His mother died last year. 4th grade, Teddy is very slow but well behaved. His father shows no interest in him whatsoever. Christmas came and the boys and girls in Miss Thompson's class brought her Christmas presents. And they piled their presents on her desk and they just crowded around her to watch her open her gifts. And among the presents there was one from Teddy Stollard. And she was surprised that he had brought her a gift, but he had. Teddy's gift was wrapped in brown paper and was held together with Scotch tape. And on the paper were written the simple words, "For Miss Thompson from Teddy." When she opened Teddy's present, out fell a rhinestone bracelet with half the stones missing and a bottle of inexpensive perfume. The other boys and girls began to giggle and they began to smirk over Teddy's gift, but Miss Thompson at least had the sense to silence them by immediately putting on the bracelet and applying some of the perfume on her wrist and holding her wrist up for the children to smell. She said, "Don't it smell lovely?" And the children all agreed. At the end of the day, when school was over and the other children have left, Teddy lingered behind. And he slowly came over to her desk and softly said, "Miss Thompson, you smell just like my mother. And her bracelet looks pretty good on you too." When Teddy left, Miss Thompson got down on her knees and asked God to forgive her. And the next day when the children came to school, they were welcomed by a new teacher. Because Miss Thompson had become a different person. Now, not just a teacher, but now she was an agent for God, and she was committed to loving her children. She helped all the children, but she began to pay special attention to the slow ones, and especially Teddy Stollard. By the end of the year, Teddy had shown dramatic improvement. He had caught up with most of the other students and was now even ahead of some. The next year, she did not see much of Teddy, and the months blended into years. Then one day she received a note that read, "Dear Miss Thompson, I wanted you to be the first to know I will be graduating from high school. Love, Teddy." 4 years later, there was another note came. "Dear Miss Thompson, they just told me I will be graduating first in my class. I wanted you to be the first to know the university has not been easy, but I have liked it. Love, Teddy." 4 years later, another note read, "Dear Miss Thompson, as of today, I am Theodore Stollard, MD." How about that? "I wanted you to be the first to know I am getting married next month on the 26th to be exact. I want you to come and sit where my mother would have sat if she were alive. You are the only family I have. love Teddy. So Miss Thompson went to the wedding and sat where Teddy's mother would have sat. And I just want to say she deserved to sit there because years earlier she had broken a vase and poured out love on a little kid that needed it. Did you notice the effect of Mary's gift? In fact, the effect of all four gifts. They are Simon, who gave the gift of hospitality to Jesus, and Jesus was able to relax and enjoy some fellowship with some friends. Martha, she gave Jesus the gift of a meal. Jesus was able to eat and be strengthened, and perhaps his only peaceful meal. Lazarus gave Jesus a gift of true friendship. He was one of the few who would be willing at this early stage to allow his name on the Pharisees' hit list. And then Mary. Mary gave Jesus moved that he promised that wherever the gospel was told, people would hear about what she had did. People would hear about her sacrificial act of worship. Matthew chapter 12, or John chapter 12 and verse 3 says this. Mary then took a pound of very costly perfume of pure nard and anointed the feet of Jesus and wiped his feet with her hair, and the house was filled with the fragrance of the perfume. Now, it may have spread around all by itself, of course, but on the other hand, if Mary was helping to serve, as I'm sure she was, since the precious perfume was now mingled in her hair, just think about this. Everywhere that she went, anytime that she moved, the fragrance of her act of worship permeated everything. When you worship the Lord, when you are willing to snap that vase open and let the contents of your life pour out before the Lord, you also will be a fragrant blessing to everyone who comes in contact with your life. Matthew's account says this, 26 and verse 13 says, truly I say to you, wherever the gospel is preached in the whole world, what this woman has done will also be spoken of her, spoken in memory of her. We are still talking today about this woman's act of service. And that leads us to the last question I want to ask you today. What are you going to be remembered for? What are you going to be remembered for? Alfred Nobel was reading the newspaper one day, and he saw that by accident the editor had believed a rumor that he had died, and had actually published his obituary in the paper. Can you imagine opening up the paper and there's your obituary? The headline read something like this: the father of dynamite dies. He read the accompanying article, and it told of his discoveries with nitroglycerin and his patents in both England and America for dynamite. And that phrase caught his eye. Alfred Nobel will be remembered for creating the potential of mass destruction. That so challenged him that he immediately made plans for a trust through the Bank of Sweden and created what would become the Nobel Peace Prize for physics, chemistry, physiology, medicine, literature, and interestingly enough, peace. So when you hear the name Alfred Nobel today, you do not think of dynamite explosives, you think of the Nobel Peace Prize. Let me ask you a question. What will you be remembered as? What will your life be remembered as? A generation from now. What will be your lasting legacy? What will you have contributed? Notice a simple statement that Jesus made, which speaks volumes about what this little lady did. She had done what she could. And I want everyone here this morning to ask yourself a question. The question is not, what am I doing for God? I want to ask yourself this question. Am I doing for God what I could be doing for God? Do you know how you're going to be evaluated at the judgment seat? God is not going to judge you simply for what you did. He's going to judge you for what you did compared to what you could have done. And I just want to ask you this question. Are you making your life count for the Lord God Almighty? Are you making a difference? Do people see Jesus Christ in your life? When you leave a place, do people still smell the fragrance of your worship? Are you offering yourself up to Jesus so that He can use you? Oh, don't compare yourself to other people. I can't sing like this one, and I can't sing like that one, or I can't do this. No, all God asks you to do is do what you can. What He's blessed you with to do. That's all. Can I tell you, I want to give a flower today. I want to give a flower. If ever anybody was suited for a job that I asked him to do, I believe it's Jade. Yeah. Don't she just greet you at the door with just a warm smile? And I think she's just got that. No, there's some going, no, she don't smile at me. No. But I think she's just got that warm, friendly attitude that says, welcome. And that's what we want. Because you're welcome. Thank you. Yes. And yeah, and whatever everybody else, yeah, they're giving you a rose. They want to give you. And listen, when you use what God has given you, it just leaves such a sweet fragrance. Whether it's singing, giving, kindness, service, whatever that it is. Are you using what God has given you to do? Every head bowed, every eye closed. Anybody that would